So have you guys ever thought like one day you're just sitting around the house, you're bored, and you're just like, you know, there's a lot of underrated animations out there. Just me? Okay. Well, either way, like there's one that always is on my mind, and I watched it like a couple months back, and I was like, I wanted to make a video on it, and I totally forgot to. And I feel like I want to start a new series that is just like underrated animations. And one of the ones that stands out the most that some people might even argue and say like, no, it's not, is The Iron Giant, because this movie was a childhood classic for me. And I know like it's got this like cult following, especially like in the film buffs of the planet Earth, but either way, this film, when it came out, was an abysmal bomb. Like it had great critic scores, but like overall, I don't even think people nowadays even know about it sometimes. This is like the best family movie that you've probably never seen. And it's literally because of a bunch of different reasons like that I could go into, which I'll probably go into.
I could go into heavy detail, and I will. And I will go into heavy detail.
But one of the things was like that at the time of its release, like Disney was like overshadowing like every animation that was coming out, right? Because it came out in the 90s. The 90s was like that golden age of Disney. And I'm feeling like this film should have got a lot more recognition when it got released. Because if this movie came out nowadays, well, I'll take that back. People would still probably hate on it. But either way, this like movie is just one I love so much, and it was like my favorite movie growing up, like so much that even my mom got it for me like recently for like Christmas, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to watch it. And after rewatching this film, all I know is that more people need to see it, and like the themes that are in it, and like the acting, and just overall the animation is absolutely beautiful, going back to that classic 2D animation. And like it's amazing and crazy why this movie is so underrated. And as I was saying, like during its release, it didn't do so hot. And I think it was literally because like at the same time, I believe like films such as like Tarzan and Toy Story 2 definitely overshadowed its box office success. Let's be honest, if you were going to the movies now and you had a very sought after like animation studio like Disney releasing something, and then you had this smaller studio, even though it was still Warner Brothers back in the day, it was smaller for animation, and they released something, you're gonna go see the Disney film. Let's be honest. I know I would. But here lately, I've been trying to like appreciate, better films, especially animations over time, because I feel like there's a lot of animations that either kids don't see because like adults don't know about them, or the adults just never really gave it a chance back in the day. Also, the film's marketing didn't really convey what the movie would be necessarily about, which obviously we see that nowadays in like trailers. If they show something or show the whole movie, you really don't want to see it, right? But if you don't know anything about the movie, what's the point? And when you hear like a movie that's called The Iron Giant, and when you have no background to it, and the trailer is like, okay, and it doesn't really show like the emotional depth and like storytelling, you're probably not going to go see it. You're going to choose the Tarzan with the beautiful colors and like the awesome like animation and like a great story. You're going to choose Toy Story 2, where it has like the new CGI animation that is like changing the animation industry. You're not going to go see this very dull and kind of depressing animation, even though it has one of the best storytelling of all time. And I think partly it's also because of like The Iron Giant like explored adult themes more, such as the fear of the unknown, the consequences of violence, and the power of choice. And I feel like this is stuff in themes that some parents probably did not want to show their kids back in the day. But these themes make this movie so good. It makes it more than just a children's film, and like more for like sometimes even the adults to see more than the children. But when films, especially animations that are geared towards kids on like a stereotypic way, is this complex, some audiences probably steer away from it. And honestly, I'd probably be one as well, because at the end of the day, when you go see an animation, you're going for like cringy silliness that might have a strong theme throughout, but like obviously it's there to just entertain and like be there. But one of the things I enjoy so much about animation nowadays, and where The Iron Giant might have got released way too ahead of its time, is that these films now have like a strong message, and like it's something that I've like enjoyed so much about Pixar and how they do things. And even if there's controversial things in these movies, it's able to like get its message out to the people it's trying to get his message out to. I guess that makes sense. And like I was saying, it came at a time where like Disney animation was taking off. You had CGI animation like becoming super more widespread known, and traditional hand-drawn like animation was facing challenges. And the Iron Giant fell between these, you know, like it fell between these two trends, making it somewhat of an anomaly at the time, making it, again, more unattractive to the general audience. Again, it wasn't talking toys, it was a giant metal man in the woods. Yeah, way less appealing to the general audience than some toys talking and connecting to more of like a kid in all of us, right? And if you didn't know, one of the coolest things about this movie, if you've never seen it, is it's directed by Brad Bird. And if you don't know who Brad Bird is, you probably aren't a Pixar fan, because literally this man is the one that created The Incredibles. And like, again, another masterpiece film, but it's so crazy to see that before his critically acclaimed, you know, amazing Pixar animation, he worked on something just as great, just with a tad more adult themes to it. But if you don't know about the Iron Giant, maybe I can get you to take a chance on it. At its core, the Iron Giant is a story about friendship, understanding, and the choices that define us. Set against the backdrop of the Cold War era, the film introduces us to Hogarth Hughes, a young boy with a massive curiosity, whose life takes an extraordinary turn when he befriends a colossal robot from outer space. Now, who wouldn't want to see a movie like that? It's almost like got the same themes of my favorite movie of all time, E.T., right? It's like got that connection between a child and an otherworldly being, and trying to figure out how to keep that being safe and allowing the world to realize that we're not alone. And like the idea of like the central theme of friendship, right? And growing together, and like having these two unlikely characters come together and try to make this like thing work, essentially. What unfolds is a journey of self-discovery, acceptance, and the power of compassion. But honestly, what people forget about in this film, I think, is the actual brilliant animation and beautiful animation that happens throughout. Because people see these dull colors, but they don't really dive deep into it. And if you want a perfectly paced movie, this is the one for you. It balances the moments of heartwarming charm with absolutely anxiety-gripping tension. No, seriously, you're not gonna know what to do when certain scenes happen. But one of the coolest things is that it appeals to all audiences. I feel like kids can watch this film and just enjoy the big giant and being able to see what happens on screen and just all the amazing animation, while like the adults can get the story aspect and the deeper themes, which is like honestly the best type of movies to me. And don't even get me started on the cast, because this was like one of Jennifer Aniston's like very first movies almost, I believe, as well as the very first role ever for Vin Diesel. I mean, what? Yes, that's right. He plays the Iron Giant's voice, and when you hear it, here's just a sound clip.
That's right!
It's like family all over again. This probably also set him up to be able to be Groot down the line, because like obviously it showed like the range of talent that he kind of has, just playing characters that don't really speak that much, but enough that he can influx his voice and stuff to still show feelings through very limited language. And like the overall like theme of just like, what if a gun had feelings, is what makes this film stand out more than anything else, right? Because like back in this time, you know, we had a lot of like conversations about war and what to do. I think people forget like at this point of time, like, you know, that soldiers also have feelings, and like there's things that they have to do that they necessarily don't want to do, or like things they have to live through like afterwards. And like seeing this like put into an aspect where you see this like entity, right? This thing that you think looks otherworldly, but deep down it has the same feelings as humans, and like it feels, and it's not just this empty tin man essentially from like Wizard of Oz. I don't know, this was just me rambling a little bit about one of my favorite like animations of all time, and I kind of wanted to start a series on the channel of just me talking about movies that I feel like people don't talk about enough. And maybe it's just like people I know, but like this is one of those movies that I highly recommend. It's one of those movies that since I was a kid, again, I was compelled to watching it. I didn't know probably any of the stuff that was in it, and I probably didn't care. It was just so interesting because it was a giant robot. Like what kid doesn't want that? But at the end, like growing up and rewatching it as an adult, I just really, really appreciate like this animation, and like knowing that it's not Disney like opens up so many doors because so many people just see Disney as the best animation company. But here lately, there's a lot of highly underrated like animations that came from DreamWorks and some other ones. So down in the comments below, leave a comment and let me know if there's some other animations you want me to recommend or talk about. If there's something that's underrated to you, I will definitely talk about it as well, because I'm sure we agree. There's so many on a list that I have going, but maybe there's one that you have that I totally forgot about. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure you guys leave a like, as well as consider subscribing, because I'm just gonna make random long form videos and hope you guys enjoy them. But in the end, I'm no film buff. I'm just a movie fan. I'll see you guys in the next video.